Hello, everyone. Hope you all had a really lovely holiday, ate lots of chocolate. Welcome back to Getting Carried Away with Norry and Caig, the YouTube show where Emma and I interview authors about their passions, their favourite things, the music, TV, films, books that make them get carried away and mean the most to them.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. This week we are delighted to welcome our guest, Lindsay Galvin, author of The Secret Deep and Darwin's Dragons and and another book
I can't get them to come out.
Can't get them in.
I can't get them in the picture. There you go.
And children's writer, author, and writer of various other things, which you can tell us about a bit later. And Lindsay's got 3 brilliant choices for us today, this evening, and which has already generated quite a lot of excitement. And we're going to kick off with the first choice, Lindsay, which is, tell us what it is about Jurassic Park that makes you get so carried away.
Well, I think that all my writing has got a bit of Jurassic Park in it. I don't know, ever since I was really, really small, I've been fascinated by monsters. When I was one of the earliest things I ever remember watching was wanting to see monster films, which are those kind of like Jason and the Argonauts type films. So when the Jurassic Park franchise started, I think I must have seen that first film 100 times because it's got every element that I love. First of all, Laura Dern's character at the time, we were not spoilt for cool female characters who were clever, adventurous, actually smarter than the men. She was like a bit of along with old Ripley out of Alien, which could have been one of my other choices, but I had to go Jurassic Park because I've sort of maintained my love for it so much. But so we've got this female character who is really knowledgeable and bright and clever, and I've always loved learning things, so I always appreciate that. But also looks so much better than I would ever look in shorts, and it's just like the coolest kind of like lady crush you could ever have. So that was kind of what attracted me to it, and of course all the lovely the animals, and I just absolutely love it.
Yeah,
it's terrifying though, isn't it? I always forget how scary Jurassic Park is.
Yeah, that traditional horror element of kind of the girl sitting there whilst there's this massive face. It's a bit like those. It's like those traditional shots that you have in King Kong and those other real old classic monster movies. You know, the shot where King Kong's at her window, and you get that same shot in Jurassic Park in the first one. And I just love all those kind of classic moments where it's like, it does exactly what it says on the tin, really.
Because was
pure
it
adventure?
Was it a
PG?
Yeah.
Ooh,
I went to see it at the cinema.
scary.
Yeah, and I just
remember really scary for a PG.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's that scene in the kitchen. I remember where they're in the kitchen hiding in the cupboards, and there's all
the velociraptors.
Yes, literally iconic scene of the velociraptors, and they just became something that everybody knew what a velociraptor was, and before that only dinosaur geeks would have known, but now because of Jurassic Park, I think everybody knows, don't they, that scene with those claws, those really curved claws. It's just got such an eye for detail as well. I love that kind of like those visual details that stick in your mind, like motifs. I love that.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant, isn't it? When was it made? Do you know when it was made? Is it 90?
I can't tell you. It's a long time ago now, but it really does stand up. I mean, we've watched it quite recently, and I think it really stands up to the test.
I think it was
time.
93. The film was 93, I think.
Yeah,
so
that's
a long time ago now.
It's definitely when I was a teenager, so that sounds about right. Yeah, because I would have been 16, 17 then, so that's good. That's about the good time to be going to the cinema, and I remember seeing it at the cinema as well. And I
And
didn't go
Yeah,
to the
me
cinema
too.
much when I was very much younger. So
yeah, I don't know if I
yeah.
saw it. I'm not sure if I saw it in the cinema, but you're right. It hasn't dated in the way that you would imagine. Do you know what I mean? Because that scene of
No.
when they first come across all the dinosaurs peaceful, you still get that like moment,
Yeah.
don't you? It's
It's
kind of
very
like,
clever, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
It's a very emotional film, I think, with
yeah,
the animals and just the whole kind of it's a kind of ahead of its time. I think there's a lot of stuff that focuses in on eco things and, on protecting animals, but actually that was kind of doing it a really long time ago.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
And
yeah,
isn't that the
absolute
whole one where
classic.
isn't that the, the one where the geezer gets his head bit off on the toilet?
I knew you were going to say that.
Well,
That is such an iconic scene. I mean, you never forget that, will you? It's like it's so cool. I love that scene.
yeah.
And all the baddies, they just get their comeuppance in these really cool ways. It's so satisfying, isn't it?
Oh God,
To get
yeah.
your head bitten off on the toilet.
I
It's
forgot. Was
just,
he a baddie then? The guy that was on the
Yeah,
loo.
isn't he just a?
yeah.
Isn't
Isn't
he?
he the? I can't remember if
I
he's
thought
the
this one was really
one.
obnoxious.
Yeah, it is someone really obnoxious. It is.
Yeah,
It isn't the main baddie though, but he does get gobbled as well.
yeah.
Thing
Mm.
is, there's something really visceral about a film where all the baddies get eaten. You actually see them get eaten, and I
Yeah.
just think that it's so satisfying, isn't
No,
it?
it totally is. You're totally
It's like
right. And the fact,
teeth.
and actually, the fact they get
I love it.
eaten as well. It's like even the dinosaurs can sense that they're bad guys. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
nothing to do with the human
and it's
decision. They're
nothing.
just bad through and
Yeah, and
through.
it's
Like,
nothing like someone like getting put in prison or even
yeah,
getting shot or something, is it? Getting eaten has got so much more power to it. You're actually going to be digested by another animal. It's that primal element that I just think is fantastic. I
yeah.
love that.
You're lower
Brilliant.
down on the food chain.
You
Just
are. It's
yeah,
very
that's what I said.
simple. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of very honest way to die, I feel. Although I wouldn't like to die that way. It's quite an honest death, isn't it? You just got made
Brilliant.
into food
Yeah.
for someone bigger.
For a T-Rex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One
No,
of the
because
things I really remember about Jurassic Park is the music. I think the
Yes.
music is incredible.
Oh, amazing.
My friend went to one of those like concerts at the Royal Albert Hall where they
Yes.
were doing the John Williams
Ooh.
scores,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she said that it's like the ones you expect, like Star Wars and
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, and you kind of you sort of sometimes I sometimes forget that he wrote. And she was like,
Yeah.
Jurassic Park was the one where everyone was just in floods of tears for that.
Yeah.
It was like the most moving of all of the pieces. It's just extraordinary, isn't
It
it?
is, isn't it? And I think
Yeah.
that does play a huge part in that, especially
Yeah.
that first film. It's really iconic in that sense, isn't it? The
Yes.
music is really rousing. It's like, oh, I listened
Yeah.
to it when I was writing Darwin's Dragons, like some of the
Oh,
scores.
Okay.
Because
interesting.
so I don't listen to music always when I'm writing, but sometimes I get the urge, but I don't really like having words in it. So
Mm.
I'll listen to sort of scores. And I did listen to some of that when I was writing Darwin's Dragons, and it did really fit well, because you've got there's a similar kind of sort of setting and everything. So
Yeah.
That's such a
yeah,
great tip.
And his
absolutely.
his music is so epic. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
epic and very kind of lush, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, it's really lush, and sometimes you
Yeah.
just need to get in the mood. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Mostly
So,
I prefer silence, though.
and how many films have there been of Jurassic Park, like in the
So there's
franchise now?
there's the first, which was amazing. The second,
Yeah.
which was a bit of a dud. Then
Was
there
that the
was
one set on the
third.
desert island or some other like
Yeah. And then there's been Jurassic. There's been another
world?
3.
Oh God,
So there's
have
been
there?
Jurassic
Okay.
World. There's been I can't remember all the names. I'm sure there's been another 3, and there's one that's coming out very
Okay.
soon in June.
Because the one with because when I'm trying to think of scenes from the original, I'm confusing it in my head with the Chris Pratt one. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, because that was quite decent. That was all right. And I'm getting
Yeah,
like
yeah, I really liked it. I really
that had
liked
the
it when
sort of
they
spirit
rebooted
of
it.
the yeah.
It
That
did.
had the sort of
I
spirit
agree
of
with
the
that. I mean, people always are like purists about things, aren't they? But actually, I thought the second and the third weren't that great, but I
yeah
did think the reboot was really good.
yeah.
And there's loads of criticisms about it, like about her running in heels and things. And I thought it was, I really liked it. I thought she looked cool running in heels. I mean,
Yeah.
women can wear heels all day and like amazingly, can't they? I can't
Yeah,
personally.
yeah,
I
yeah.
do believe that she could.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I
she,
think
yeah, she
we're
looked the sort of-
warriors.
yeah,
You
wearing
know,
heels.
she's been wearing. She looked like she'd been wearing heels like since she was like 16, didn't she? Every day, all day, day in day out. So why wouldn't she be able to run in them?
I've not seen this film. I've not seen the reboot. Now I'm
Oh,
just
you've got
imagining
to
the
see
whole
it.
thing is just a lady in high
Oh,
heels
you
fighting
should-
a.
You haven't seen the Chris Pratt one?
No, I've seen
Oh,
one of the
you need to
later
see it.
Chris Pratt ones at the
Okay.
cinema.
The first one, she wears these kind of like, I think they're like cream high heels, and she's like this executive with this perfect hair.
She's
And I
got-
think she's
yeah.
rather wonderful in it.
She
I
is,
really like her.
yeah,
in
and
it.
she becomes really believably undone by the end, doesn't she?
She does.
Like she becomes noticeably changed, like
Oh
character-wise
God,
as well. I think.
yeah, she does.
Yeah,
She's
yeah, yeah.
great in it. But I
Yeah.
like her at the beginning as well when she's really hard ass.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
because it's the two kids in the bubble in that see-through bubble thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
And that
that's the
scene's
one.
brilliant. Oh my
Yeah.
god, that's yeah.
That is
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
really, really excellent scene. Everyone thinks
Yeah.
of that, don't they?
Yeah.
You've got kids trapped inside this glass
God.
bubble with like being kicked around like a football by dinosaurs.
You know, like a giant
Love it.
hamster wheel, Anna.
Yes!
You know, like a, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, it's like one of
God.
those. It's really, I think that's the first one in the reboot, and it's got
Yes.
yeah, it's got a real playful energy. It works really.
It really works well. And
Yeah.
the thing I really like in that is that they sort of re-engendered that energy between the siblings as well.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love a good sibling relationship, and he's
Absolutely.
so horrible, the brother at the beginning. I always like it when movies and books they make characters really believably mean,
Yeah,
especially to their siblings, because actually that is what siblings are like,
yes.
whilst also loving each other. And as that relationship develops in that Jurassic World one, I absolutely loved that because I thought it was really well done. He's so horrid to his little brother.
Yeah, he's really
just
mean, isn't he?
awful. He just looks at girls all the time, tries to lose him, ignores him, is scathing to him, and then by the end they're absolute buddies. It's like he's
Yeah, it's
so
lovely. They've been
protective,
united in this thing, and it does
yeah,
work really well.
yeah,
it's
it does work really well. So yeah, I mean, I'm
I will
singing
give
its
that. I'll
praises
give
a
that
lot.
a
So,
You've
yeah.
done what I love it when this program does this, or our program does this, which is you've made me just want to go and watch the original Jurassic Park. I'm like, oh my god, I
And
want
you
to go
know
and
what?
watch it again.
The new one is bringing back the original cast, so we get Laura
Is
Dern
it?
and
Jeff
yes,
Goldblum.
I was going to say Jeff
and
Goldblum.
the guy as well.
He's mad, isn't he? He's amazing.
The
but he's
brilliant
mad.
guy that Laura Dern is with, Sam
Oh, is it
O'Neill, my
Sam
husband.
Neill?
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Sam Neill, that's it.
Yeah.
Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and all of the originals are in there as well. So I can't wait for that because that.
And is Spielberg directing it?
Do you know what?
I bet he's handed the
don't
reins
know.
over, hasn't he?
I don't know.
Okay.
Did I
Did you-
see? Oh no, because I went to the cinema today basically with my son.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because he had a COVID day off, and so I took him to the cinema to see Lost City.
Oh, I see that. Oh my god, it's such fun.
Oh, I had so much fun. And I picked up my sister works from home and I said, I'm taking Oscar to the cinema. It's just off the random. I should be working. I know you're working, but come with me. So she came as well. So we had like auntie and mum like crowing away about this movie.
Oh,
We were
brilliant.
laughing and laughing.
Yeah.
I
Did
was
you see
laughing
it,
out
Anna?
loud.
I've not seen it yet, but I've
You
seen the
need to
trailer and
see
I
it.
really
It
want
was
to see
really,
it.
it was
My other
really
son-
good fun.
It's really good fun, really funny, and I just found it really funny. My son and my elder son had seen it with his girlfriend when it first came out, and he said to me, "Mum, you need to see that movie. That is a movie you will like."
Isn't she a writer?
How old? Yeah. How old's your oldest son?
He's 15.
Okay, yeah. So my son's 14, and he begrudgingly, because we went on Easter Sunday, right?
Yes.
And like when I told him, he was all like, and I was like,
yeah.
"You're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh. Sandra
Yeah.
Bullock is really charming. You've got no idea."
Yeah.
And he did begrudgingly be like, "Yeah, it was all right. It was all right." But he was laughing like a drain.
Well,
and
my
it's just
son
really entertaining.
entered my office to tell me to go and see it, and this is not something that happens very often. He was like, "You need to see it, Mum. You will like it." I think
That's
because
when
it
you need
had,
to
like,
listen to.
It had handsome men's bottoms in it.
Always a winner.
Combined with the writer character, who isn't cringe, is she?
No, she's really good.
Which
I love.
is
She's so
great.
she's always so likable though.
I just loved what she was wearing in the trailer.
Yeah,
that kind of head to toe
really well.
pink
Yeah.
Oh,
sequins.
no, and she just hates
Already
it
been out
so
for it.
much. You just, I did think it was a brilliant. I would definitely.
It's really
yeah.
entertaining, Anna. You should.
I might try and
it's
see it this weekend.
and it's definitely like, yeah, you could go with both yours. Do you know what I mean? It's like both yours cover the
Come out with a
ages.
big smile on your face.
Yeah.
We did. We
Yeah,
were
it's
like,
look like my
that
cup
was
of
so
tea. It
good.
really does.
Properly
Yeah.
feel good.
We should move on to the second choice, shouldn't we? Where
Yes,
we
we will. Let's do
got
that.
distracted
Hey,
by Sandra Bullock and sequins.
Can't help
oh my
myself.
god, yeah, who wouldn't? Right?
I know.
Well,
Who wouldn't? I was just
fair
constantly thinking, she is amazing. I'm like
Really
staring
nice
at
outfit.
her.
I was a bit like, could I get away with a jumpsuit? Like halfway through, I'm like, sequins.
But I think, isn't she? She looks so strong.
Yeah.
She's not like bony or wimpy looking. She looks like she works out and she'd like stand and lift weights in the gym. Do you know what I mean? She's great.
God, yeah, I
think
love
she's
the
great.
whole kind of gender reversal of the two of them. I thought worked so well.
Doesn't it work great?
Like,
and
yeah,
doesn't he approach it with such a light touch? I was really impressed with his acting because he didn't overdo it, did he?
No.
The
I
himbo
thought it was
element.
really, yeah.
It was quite light and just it was more her judging on him than him actually. Although the Tom, I just
No,
can't
don't
stop
even.
talking about this movie.
Yeah. And you
Let's
can't
not even go to Brad Pitt. We can't even talk about
Don't spoil it for Anna, but Brad Pitt was genius. Oh my god, I was wetting myself laughing.
I'm just going to go now. And
you need to go now. You need to
get in my car.
I'm going to come with you.
It's really enjoyable. Anna. I'd love to hear what you think when you see it. It's really good fun.
Oh, let's meet halfway. We can find a cinema in Birmingham. Be there in a few hours.
Okay, all right. So let's go on to your second choice, Lindsay, which we would like to see some. You'll need to show us some of these pages. I think
this is
we're talking about. Let me intro it. It is The World of Strange Powers by. Oh God, that's such a good cover by Arthur C. Clarke.
Yes,
look at that
see it all there.
Yeah, doesn't that look amazing? So, when did you get this book? Who bought it for you? It looks like prime 80s.
No, this was not bought for me.
Okay.
This was bought for my dad. This is 19. I think this edition. Looks like it's 1990.
Okay.
Which takes me back to around about 11. I can't work out my own age.
Don't ask me.
I don't know. No, it can't be. It doesn't. I don't know. I can't read the dates on there, but it doesn't matter. I got this when I was living at my old house. I moved out of when I was 11, so I think I was about 10 because it was a favourite for a long time. And basically, my dad got it for Christmas, and it's about. It says basically on the back, the blurb is, from the beginning of time, the human race has been fascinated as well as awed and terrified by the range of phenomena we now describe as paranormal. Now, me and my friends had already read anything remotely ghostly in the school library. We were a one-form entry primary school with a tiny library. And there really wasn't anything in there. There was literally nothing, but we'd read anything that could remotely be ghostly or scary or shocking. We were thirsting for stuff like this. So, this book is full of things like, let's find.
What's the contents page? What's the contents page?
Yes, you need the contents page.
Is it broken down into
my god, it is. Right, okay.
Apparitions
First one, maledictions.
Oh, what's that?
I don't know what malediction is.
That wasn't one of my favourite chapters.
Yeah, what is a malediction? What is a malediction?
This was one of my favourite chapters. Here's one of the pictures.
Oh, hang on. Oh,
can you see it?
Has she got smoke coming out of her face?
Yeah. This is hexing. This is all about. She's actually got a picture of her face with nails and wool coming out of her eyes and ears.
Oh,
I know. This is stuff that I loved, age 10. It's 10, okay? Year 4 and 5.
Have you met Louise Gooding? Because I think you two would be besties.
I was such a gothic soul. I honestly, I don't know what was wrong with me. So the black. That one's all about black candles of death, hexing.
That's jolly.
Yeah. Kind of different cultures, sorcerers' dolls, things like that. That was maledictions. So the next one, was The Noisy Spirits. Now, this is poltergeists,
Okay.
and this was definitely one of my favourite ones.
Okay.
This was about these kind of people who are standing in the kitchen whilst all of the poltergeists go
Plates and
around
stuff are
knocking all the
spinning
plates
around.
off.
Oh
Yeah,
my god.
all the stuff spinning around. Anne-Marie Schneider, they would lamps swinging violently whilst that picture was taken. Poltergeist.
Are they like case studies of like
Yeah,
people
it's
and
all
stuff?
very. Yeah, it's all very.
Okay.
It's all very real. Which is, I think, why I loved it, because the way it was written, so grown up.
Yeah.
So it's like, oddly, few victims of stone throwing poltergeist seem to suffer serious injury. In Thornton Road, the only person hurt in any way was grazed on the cheek when a stone winged its way right into the living room. I mean, it's written in a really a sort of accessible way. I mean, it's a grown-up's book, but it's the way it's written. It's supposed to be sort of semi-serious, but somehow it's not too serious. So yeah, I absolutely loved The Noisy Spirits, and I am actually still a little bit scared of poltergeists now. The thought of something invisible throwing
Moving
things
stuff
at you and
around.
touching you, no, I don't fancy that. I'd rather they just show themselves, don't you think?
Yeah.
If
So would
there's-
it actually frighten you then, reading it was a frightening
Oh.
experience, but you
yeah.
loved that? Or
Some
is
of it, no. Some of it I would be fine with, but some of it I would get scared by. And I would get, some of the pictures are quite nasty, and I would really enjoy staring at those for long amounts of time.
And what were you doing? What were you doing when you were like? Did you show
Well,
any
at
of your
first, I
friends
think-
or anything?
No,
Did you see-
no, oh no. This was like just me curled up in a corner somewhere. And probably when
Okay.
I first started reading it, I wouldn't have shown my mum and dad that I was reading it. I would have sneaked it off the shelf. But I think that I eventually they sort of found out what I was reading and were like,
Is that when you were throwing stones at them through the window?
yeah, try and scare
grazing
them.
their cheek?
Some of the chapters I'll skip through. This is the inside information one, which is all about premonitions. And I'm like, boring. That's just boring. It's premonitions. I'm not really, there's not enough, like, it's not very visceral, is it?
Yeah.
So mind over matter, I quite like that. But again, I was more interested in anything to do with death.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Is there like
Bodies,
a reanimator chapter or anything?
There's life
Frankenstein.
after life was an important one, which I read a lot of. That was one of the chapters I
Ooh.
loved. So that was about the ghosts and the gloomy swamps. They have like lovely pictures of various like horrible
Love a swamp.
things. A swamp, and there'd be talking about ghosts and things. I quite like that. The Borley ghost, the Borley rectory, where loads of
No.
people were like
No.
there's like
that's a creepy house.
and there, look, they have like ghost writing at the bottom. I cannot
Oh, yeah.
understand. Tell me more, and all these scribbles. That's
Oh,
what the
that is
ghosts wrote.
creepy.
All stuff like that. I love that. That's one of my favorite. That was one of my favorites.
So you were frightened, but
Yeah,
and you were
really frightened.
10.
Yeah,
But
and I'd
you
have
see, I would have
nightmares as
found
well.
that paralyzing. Like, were you okay?
No, not really. I'd have terrible nightmares.
Oh, God.
And I continued to have nightmares all the way through until I went to university. I think I had nightmares.
So you'd feed yourself with these scary, like factual stories.
I wouldn't read them in bed. I would not
Okay.
read them in bed. I would read them outside of bed. Couldn't bear to read them in bed. That's too much. But I would still
Okay.
have nightmares. But I don't think the nightmares were based on what I'd read. I think I just had nightmares about all sorts of different things.
Okay.
So yeah, but
I
I
think
did enjoy scaring myself.
Yeah, because that's quite often a thing, isn't it? Like, it's like that whole psychology of, when we go on roller coasters and want, like that whole fear near to death thing, because you've got then some kind of control or mastery over it. Like,
and I think reading a book, I was feeling the kind of thrill of the nightmare without being in a nightmare, maybe.
Yeah.
So you're getting the nightmare
interesting,
experience without waking up in a sweat, really scared and unable to sleep, but you still get that kind of like, So yeah, I think that's what maybe, but I don't know. I think kids are quite fascinated by scary, gory stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, that genuinely brings us on to your, not in a
Third
kind
choice.
of cheesy segue, which
No,
it is
no,
a
no.
cheesy segue, I know, but it genuinely does bring us on to your final choice, because that was very much
Oh yeah.
what that was for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So shall I move on to that now? Let me do one
Let's
more. Let
do
me see if
it.
can I find one more?
Oh, yeah,
I want
yeah,
to
go
show
on.
you. I want to show you my favourite one, which is I was absolutely obsessed with. And I did show this picture to my friends as well. And I'm not going to be able to find it now, am I? Oh, the stigmata was always quite gory.
Oh God, is that
The
hands in your...
bleeding from the hands and feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was always quite gory. I was quite obsessed with that. To suddenly start bleeding, that's like nasty, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
the spontaneous human combustion.
Any woman.
I love the
Any
way you
woman,
read
yeah.
this, Lindsay. It's brilliant. I think you should do. Is there an audio book of this? Because if there isn't,
I need to do one. Have
you
I
need
found
to
it?
get that job.
Oh, I can't find the exact one. I'm so disappointed if I can't find the slippers with no lady in them.
Ooh. Actually, I'm sure I remember reading a story once when I was little about... What's that? Yeah, what's the one where they just burst into flames?
Spontaneous human combustion. This is the one which was my favourite. And I'm trying to find it. I'm pretty sure it's here, actually. I'm pretty sure I'm going to come across it any moment. Oh, I can't find it now, can I? Oh, it's so annoying.
Has it got an index?
It's got a picture.
I looked
early for the index, but I couldn't just find it in the index earlier. Let's see if I can quickly find it now. Spontaneous.
There was a campaign recently, wasn't there, with those famous 80s books, and they got it republished. I don't know who does them. It was all over thingy for a while. You know, and it's like spooky stories and...
Oh yeah.
You know the one I mean.
Yeah,
I think
that rings a bell.
like a children's one that had been out
what
of
would
print.
what would it be under? It's hard to say,
What,
isn't
human
it?
combustion?
Mind over
Combustion?
matter. What would it be
S for
under?
spontaneous.
Life after life, sympathy of souls, blessings in disguise. Not really, is it?
Oh God, no! Blessings in disguise.
Taking the heat off. I mean, I think that's about firewalking, not bursting into flames. This is about people that firewalk the heat one, which is quite interesting.
Okay.
It's not the same, is it? No, there's
No.
a picture of her with her. There's a picture of just this pair of slippers, basically. That's just
And
the best picture
Where's
in
the
the
woman
book.
gone? Where's she gone?
She's
Burst
in a
into
pile of
flame.
ash.
Oh,
She's
God.
just, her clothes are just left there on the floor.
Is that actually a thing? Do people do that? Is it a thing?
Well, they said it was. I mean, I think it was quite well known because I saw on Twitter not so long ago someone saying that that was something they were quite scared of when they were younger.
Oh my God! Can you imagine?
Because people didn't know about it. People didn't know about this. Like, literally, what's your biggest fear? Well, I might burst into flames, basically, just out of the blue, and just be left as a pile of ash and a pair of old lady slippers in front of an electric fire.
Mind you, if you're a similar-ish age to me, right? So I'm 46.
Oh, I am. Yeah, 46 this year.
Okay, so you must remember those horrible 70s adverts, the ones that were like, if you get too close to flipping pylons, we're going to burst into flame, and they were all pretty horrible, weren't they?
There was so many dangers in the 80s. The 80s were just... Oh, there was also, I was really scared of quicksand.
Quicksand was a legitimate fear.
I worry about quicksand. I see certain areas. I think, oh, careful, you'll fall right in over your head. I mean, it will be.
Oh, and it's that whole thought of just swallowing all that sand. It's trying to speak, and then you're
disgusting.
Gone.
It was always happening in the 80s. I'm sure.
If you get,
I blame
you have to make yourself flat, don't you? If you're going to get sucked up by quicksand, you need to make your body really big and flat.
Oh,
see, you must have really thought this through, haven't you?
Yeah,
I can see this has been a thing for you as well.
Yeah, my son's got this amazing book which is about like surviving in different wilderness situations.
It's not the Bear Grylls one, is it? I picked that up at the charity.
It's a Lonely Planet.
At the charity shop the other day. One about Bear Grylls.
Brilliant book. It's a Lonely Planet, Young Explorer's Guide or something. But it's like if you get buried by an avalanche, how to tell which way to dig. Which is basically do a wee. So do a wee, and that's how you find out what's down. Because in an avalanche, you can't tell up from down.
Sorry, Anna. If I was in an avalanche,
I might have already
I would be
myself.
I'm sorry. That might have happened. B, I would be wearing about 16 pairs of long johns, followed by waterproof trousers, followed by salopettes. I would be just like bingling around in a skirt. How would I be able to? It would all just soak in, wouldn't it?
Are you saying that the Young Explorer's Guide is flawed in there?
Flawed. It honestly is aimed at people who have a willy. That's what I'm saying.
That's maybe true. That's maybe true.
Because us ladies, well, if you don't have a willy, you're going to struggle to see which direction the urine is going to go in. So
that's right. You're not going to wee in a cup yet.
No. Did it say though anything about spontaneous human combustion?
Don't remember that. I will have a look. There's How to Fight a Crocodile. I remember that.
Oh, is that then you're supposed to hold their jaws, or is that just Crocodile Dundee?
Something. He was talking about this the other day.
Put a stick in its mouth, don't you? Pop its mouth open.
I think you're supposed to get on its back.
It wouldn't be my number one thought, if I'm honest. It would be the first thing that springs to mind.
Can you just turn around? Hang on a minute.
I may have got that wrong though, so don't.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
so right. Okay, so wait, hang on. Let's follow that by, a sailboat and a drain and a clown. Okay.
Now this was iconic for me.
It was.
Oh,
even you just saying that, I've gone all like, oh.
I don't know if it's iconic for everyone, but I guess by all the fuss about the new one coming out, that it probably was. It's that idea of the clown, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
the clown is just so frightening. But the way I came across, and this is not a book now, this is the film, although I'll talk a bit about the books as well. The way I came across Stephen King, first of all, was that film. And my parents never really left us alone, me and my brother. And I think, again, I was about 10. In fact, I think I might have been younger reading this, because I'm thinking it was a different house I was in. I think I might have been about 8 or 9 reading this. I mean, we did read different stuff, didn't we, in the 80s? I just used to read whatever I could read.
Yeah,
and I was a good reader.
Yeah.
So I just read whatever was there. Apart from my mum's Jackie Collins, which she hid, and I waited until later to read them. That's a whole different story.
We've got a Jackie Collins coming up, haven't we?
Oh, have you?
Series?
Yeah. I could have chosen that. That was really.
I'm really excited. Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, they are really, really unhelpful in all of your future relationships.
Yes.
I've never read one. But
yeah.
That's why I wasn't missing out. Maybe.
I think you need to read them as a teenager, really, to get the full effect. But so Stephen King's it. Me and my brother have been left on our own for the first time ever.
Okay.
Ever. And so I was only young, and my mum and dad had only gone next door. We were on our own without a babysitter. Now that never happens, but they were literally in the house that was attached to ours in the garden, and we were only in the lounge. So it was literally so close. They took my baby sister with them. Luckily, I didn't scar her. And I just flicked around the channels, and it was late at night, and it was just on. It was.
And was that the Tim Curry one? Was that like a movie or a mini series?
No, it was a movie.
Okay.
And so we didn't watch all of it, but we watched most of it. We were like absolutely terrified. Me more so than my brother, who's 2 years younger than me. Of course, I was more scared. But we still carried on watching it. And then I felt really bad because I was really scared at bedtime.
Oh God, but you couldn't say anything.
I didn't want to say anything. So it was really bad. It was like the first time that I'd had a secret that felt like a really big secret to my mum. So I never told her what we'd watched. But then the thing that I really struggled with is there's a scene in that movie where blood comes out of the taps.
Yeah, it comes mashing out of the sink, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it starts bubbling up.
And Beverly's, yeah.
And so that scene, I was so scared about. I couldn't clean my teeth on my own at night. So me and my brother, after that, for about 4 years, I used to wait for him to clean his teeth and then clean mine at the same time. So we used to spit toothpaste on each other's hands. It became like a thing because we were always at the sink together. I remember my mum saying, "Why don't you two clean your teeth separately rather than always fighting at the sink?" Because we just had a small house with one sink in it. There wasn't like another sink to go to. And, that was, just clean our teeth together at the sink, and I would sneak in. My brother always had bunk beds and slept on the top bunk, so I would go and sneak into his bottom bunk bed with my duvet when I got scared, and yeah, it was terrible
So
for my
then did
nightmares.
you read the book after you'd
Well,
Yeah, so why would you go
was-
back? Like glutton
I
for
didn't
punishment.
go back straight
want more of
away.
this?
I
Yeah.
knew how scary it was then, and I didn't go back straight away. And I was limited because I couldn't really get hold of it because I was so young. I was only like 10.
Yeah, leave it for a few years, let the trauma
Yeah.
just bubble away.
But what happened then is that led me on to my mum was reading James Herbert's Rats, the rat stories. So
Yeah.
that led me on to reading those. And I don't remember my mum batting an eyelid about me reading them, but they're proper horror. There's all sorts
Yeah.
of people getting
Yeah.
gnawed to death by rats.
Oh,
but I
I've
think because
very vivid memories of that book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. And the fog, James Herbert, the rats and
Yeah.
the fog.
yeah. But they weren't, I think my mum just thought they probably didn't have any sex in them, and they weren't like torturing between humans, and it was quite fantastical because it was rats. So I think she was just like, or else people just did let their kids read whatever in those days,
Yes.
I think. Because you get to the age, don't you, where you're reading quite voraciously and you kind of run out of stuff to read.
Yeah.
Can't imagine that happening now.
No, I know.
There's so much, isn't
Yeah.
there? But there really wasn't.
No.
Once you'd kind of read what was there, you kind of got a bit like, oh, well, I've read everything new in the library.
Yeah.
That used to happen to me quite often. So my mum would just let me read stuff. Or I would just not stop me when she saw me reading it. I kind
Yeah.
of remember it that way instead.
It's true, actually, because I would
Yeah.
never have been allowed to watch a horror film. I watched them at my friend's house,
No,
but my mum and dad would never have let us watch horror
no,
films. But
my mum wouldn't have.
around 13, 14, I started reading Stephen King and just was obsessed with him.
Yeah.
I just loved him
See,
so
we passed
much.
them around from year 7 onwards. So that was when
Yeah.
then I remember Christine,
Yeah.
Cemetery Junction,
Yes.
Pet Cemetery.
Pet Cemetery, not Cemetery Junction, Pet Cemetery. That was the big one that all of year 7 read.
Yeah.
Pet
We
I read that.
passed it around.
Oh
I had
my
a
God.
dog-eared manky
Oh my
copy
God.
with
Yeah.
like
I read
bits
that.
scribbled in it.
I read that when I was 11 or 12.
Yeah, same.
And it was a summer, and I'd been sent to like this different family who I didn't really know very well, just for a few weeks, like respite. And I, you know, those things you always remember where you were. Do you know what I mean? If it was a different
Yes.
environment. So I was in this
Yes.
different little house in like Wales, Porthcawl it was. And I read it in like 2 nights under a duvet after the lights were out. And I was shitting myself. I
Yeah.
was so scared. It was
It's
so
kind of delicious though, isn't it?
yeah, no, I couldn't. That's that whole thing people say page turning. Do you know what I mean? It's so rare to get that as an adult. You know, you get it 'cause you like the language, you like the characters, but the actual just the story driving you to like, I literally can't. I need to know what happens next. And when it's scary, that's such an interesting process, isn't it? In your body, and yourself. You're like, what am I doing to myself? And I was like, is the cat going to come back? And oh my God, I'll always remember that. And I've never reread it.
I would
actually be really interested to. Yeah.
I was so
tempted
to reread it, Lindsay, when you chose it, and because I've only in the last sort of 2-3 years started reread. So I read millions of them in a sort of like 5-6 year period as a teenager.
Same, yeah.
But then didn't for years because I kind of realized like this is just I can't go to the toilet. I can't be by myself. I'm still frightened of the dark. I'm 44 and I'm scared of the dark. And I honestly think I think it's Stephen King's fault.
Yeah.
But like you say, he's such an incredible writer.
I
so
think he's an incredible writer.
3 years ago, I was like, I need to start. I miss him. Like it's just feeling like I miss him.
Style, isn't there? He's got a style that is all his own. I can't pin it down. It's so conversational, and his descriptions are so clever. And I don't know, it just feels.
I think his language, his use of language is just completely like there's no artifice. It's just absolutely real, vivid use of language that I'm on a mission at the moment to read all of his books that aren't scary.
Yes.
So I read have you read the Mr. Mercedes trilogy?
I haven't read a lot of the modern ones. I haven't really. I mean, I was in a book club a while back and we all read The Shining because I could have chosen The Shining, which is one that I watched. I know exactly when I watched that movie. I was
Yeah, I love that
14
film. Oh my
and
God, I
we were
love that
on.
film.
Absolutely loved it.
I
I
love
think
that
it
film.
changed the way I saw film
Yeah.
completely,
It's a
because
genius film.
it's a genius film, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
really
not just
genius.
the
But so
horror, it's
different. Yeah, so different to the book as well.
so different. But I watched that film when I was on my mock GCSE study leave with a group of
Okay.
friends, and we went round to each other's houses and watched this movie. And I just remember the atmosphere. It was the middle of the day, and we drew all the curtains and had loads of snacks, and we like sat around. We were supposed to be studying, but we were watching The Shining. And yeah, I was like absolutely
God.
glued to it.
Yeah.
It's terrifying though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really terrifying movie.
And
Look,
just the motifs, the little motifs of it, of the
everything,
twins
the
and
carpet and the painting and the maze at the
the
end and the
maze
weather.
is
You're just like,
oh my
yeah.
god. It's the
And
banging
that
on the
little boy,
door,
and
the
he's so,
axe on the door and his face.
and that little
Oh
boy
yeah.
Danny, he's so beautiful and he's so like well acted, and
It's
it's
so
nuts.
good.
I so
And being your dad, I think it's a real clever thing of your parent turning evil.
yeah.
It's one of those, that used to be a nightmare of mine, that my parents would turn out to be evil or possessed or something. And I think that's like a natural fear, isn't it? It's like a kind of, and The Shining just gets it. His dad is just absolutely terrifying
Yeah.
and wants
Have
to
you read
kill him.
Have you read the follow-up book? Is it Doctor Sleep?
Do you know
Is it
what? My
Dr. Sleep?
friend
That's the one
gave
that's
that to me, and I've never got round to reading it, but I must read it. Don't you
okay.
just have so much reading to do?
Oh
I'm always
God,
behind on my reading.
always behind.
I would
I've
like
got
a month to just catch up on reading.
Yeah.
I've because I've read, so when you were saying like Pet Cemetery, Christine, Carrie, I started on Stephen King when I was like 11, 12.
Yeah.
But I only read those early few novels, and then I was obsessed with his short stories, like all his short stories.
Some of them are terrifying though, and
Really terrifying, really
really
terrifying.
disturbing as
Yeah,
well. I've read
yeah.
some of those that were really upset me,
There's
like
a
more
few,
so than the books.
yeah, there's a few collections that are really powerful. But
Yes.
I've bought a few of his novels, like later ones that I've not read, that I
Yeah.
think I would like to start reading again, because you're right with both of everything you're saying about him, but his characters are brilliant as well, aren't they? Like when
They
he kind of
really
just,
are.
they feel so real. But in his short stories, in nearly all the collections, what I love, I don't know if he does this in the novels, but what I used to really love, especially when you're an aspiring writer, is he does like a paragraph on each story, like what led him
Yeah.
to write it, the inspiration, and what's the kind of meaning.
Yes.
And I remember just and I was like
He
14, 15,
released a set,
loving
didn't
those.
he? A couple of years ago. There was a new anthology released about
Mm,
2 or 3 years ago, I think. It's got
okay.
like a rainbowy kind of cover. Can't remember what it was called, but I listened to it on audio and I really enjoyed it on audio.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
I'd
it
always
wasn't.
buy his short story collections. Even if
Yeah.
I didn't get around to reading them, if I knew there was a new one, I'd be like,
Yeah.
um,
They're really, yeah, very, very, very clever, and I love short stories as well. I mean,
yeah.
I don't listen or to them as much as I should, because I do really enjoy them. That comes from him and Roald Dahl's short stories. I always thought his were
Oh
genius as
yeah.
well. His
Yeah,
Tales
really
of the
genius.
Unexpected. They've got a lot in
Yeah.
common, I think,
Definitely.
with
Dark as
those ones.
heck. Really
Really
good. Yeah,
dark,
yeah, yeah. Really
really
kind of
dark.
underbelly of human nature as well, like
Oh yeah,
perfectly.
so
So Anna,
unsettling.
is Mr. Mercedes good? Because that's meant to be amazing, isn't it?
I
Is that the
loved it.
writer? Is
I
that the writer
loved it.
that's is that
No,
the
he's
writer?
like is he a private detective, or is he
Okay.
someone who kind of tracks down missing people?
Oh,
It's
okay.
something of that ilk
Yeah.
anyway, and it starts off with someone driving a car into a just driving their car into a crowd full of people in a Mercedes.
Okay.
And that's kind of because he always starts, doesn't he, with these kind of really powerful images, or just this really powerful concept or idea.
Yeah,
And but yeah, so I just absolutely inhaled. Then there's 3 books in that series, and just loved them all.
Mm,
And it's like coming home. Like when you read him again, it's just like, I remember. And they were not scary. So
yeah.
if you
The
want that kind of...
Stand as well. The
Yeah, I've
Stand.
never read The Stand.
Oh my
No.
goodness. That one, honestly, it's so huge. I mean, I don't know how many words it is, but I'm pretty sure it's like
Oh, it's
1,000 pages or
massive, isn't it?
something.
Yeah.
I read that at university when I was studying English literature, and it definitely wasn't on the reading list.
Should
And
have
I
been.
remember I can just take me back to laying on my bed in this particular house that I was only in for one summer, and just wanting to just stay there and read, and reading right until it got dark. And just then, you know, the whole day has gone by and I've just laid on my bed and read. How
Those
lovely.
were the days.
Yeah.
Those were
You're
the
both
days.
so right, though. That feeling of just that. I'd listened to this interview with Donna Tartt, and
Delicious,
she
isn't
calls
it, when
the
it's so
breathless turning of
big?
the pages, and it's
Yeah.
like that sense.
The breathless turning of the pages.
The breathless turning of the pages. I love that phrase, because it's just
Mm.
those books where you just completely lose yourself, and
Yeah.
hours could go by. And I honestly don't think there's anything better than Stephen
There
King when
isn't.
it comes to that.
There isn't. I mean, I just look back and now look at the size of that book and think there's no way I'm reading a book that long now. I'm really glad that I had a time when maybe one day, maybe I will.
Yeah.
But now I just wouldn't, I don't think I wouldn't give it the time. I would just
You
think there's
need to
too
be
many other shorter books I could read instead.
Yeah. You need to just be away, don't you? Like you need to be on holiday or on a writing
Yeah, but
thing where
maybe
you know
on
that
your
you've got
own.
that you know you've got like 4 days, 4 hours or 5 hours to like.
Yeah.
But it's
And
such
I
a
do
delicious
think
experience when you do that though. You really kind of remember those books where you do that with, I think.
you do.
Don't you? Do you know what I
You
mean?
do, because you connect with them a lot more, don't you, than just reading things in like fits and starts. I do miss like having lots of time to read, and sometimes I will not watch television. I will do some big chunks of reading, usually because I have to, because I've got some stuff to review, and I always feel like I must do this more because I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know, when you like think, oh, I'm not watching like Runs of Bridgerton or anything, I'm going to sit 3 hours tonight and just read. I'll only really do that if I feel that I've got to. If I'm going to someone's book launch or something, or there's a new book out, and I'm, you know, and then I'll always think, yeah, you're right. It's a different experience when you gobble it all down in one.
Yeah.
Gulp it all down. I do still sometimes though stay awake deep into the night to find out what's going to happen.
Well, I can't read at night. Like I literally need to find a better time to read, because my husband reads and then we'll fall asleep. Like he reads and it relaxes him when he falls asleep.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what style of book I'm reading. When I read, it energizes me and it wakes me up. So I cannot read at night, and it is actually really annoying.
Know that.
Yeah, because I'm like,
When
I'll
do
just
you
keep
read
reading.
then?
I generally read in my when I'm at work, I read in my lunch break. So that's 3 days a week, 45 minutes. So I just go and sit in my car.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
I sit in my car and I eat and I read.
Yeah.
And then it's like if I'm on train journeys or holidays.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to, and Sunday afternoons we've started setting aside like an hour and a half.
That's really nice.
Yeah, me and my son actually.
Lockdown. I introduced reading time in lockdown for like an hour at 4 o'clock, I think it was.
Yeah.
We would do like, right, everybody needs to be doing something to do with reading. So,
that's nice.
Yeah.
Because Anna, you read heaps.
Isn't that a shame? Isn't that a shame that we don't do that every day?
But I'm
that's
exactly the
carnage.
opposite. I can't go to sleep without reading, even if
same as me, Anna.
even if I've been out, which obviously isn't very often now. But
even if
do you
it
know
was
what
2
I mean? Even when I go
a.m.,
to
I would
bed,
still read a
exactly, yeah.
page.
Really?
My husband would be like, "What are you doing?" I'd be like, "No, I have to read."
How do you put it? I would never be able to put it down. Like I wouldn't. Honestly.
I find it relaxing though.
Me too.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's really interesting that it has the opposite effect on you. That's
yeah. And it doesn't matter what it is.
It does sometimes have the opposite effect on me, don't get me wrong. And then I'm up till like 2 a.m. if I'm reading something that
I just think I just want to, I'm either, if it's a plotty type thing, I want to know what happens next. But I don't really read a lot of plotty type things, to be honest. But even if I'm reading, like non-fiction and it's really interesting, it's just stimulated me. So it's woken my brain up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I just can't do it. I think I need to.
It's tough. It is tough.
I've got a massive, I feel guilty every time I try and communicate with someone about their book. I'm like, I need to physically make more time in the day, definitely.
Well, there's just not enough time, is there? There just isn't. It's like now when I've got a new book out and I'm sending it out to people to read, I'm literally like, please don't worry about reading it.
And let's talk. Let's talk about.
Let's take a photo. I say to people, just take a photo of it and say nice things that you've heard about it. You don't have to read it, because I know that it's probably in the same situation as me. That it's just really,
they
really
will
tough,
read
isn't
it.
it? I know they will.
So
but
Lindsay,
not maybe
Lindsay.
eventually.
So Lindsay, that's nicely because we've done a bit of Stephen King and a bit of it, and we could talk more about it, but
forever.
let's talk about your book.
Yeah,
my friend.
Book.
I haven't got a copy yet, but it's the one with the big red octopus on the front, and it's
so when's it out?
It is out in just over a month, so June 2nd.
Okay.
And it's about a friendship between a girl and an octopus, which is kind of does what it says on the tin in that way. But she is visiting Brighton to stay with her aunt, who works at the tea shop over the top of the Brighton Aquarium.
Oh, lovely.
And while she's staying there, her mum drops her off, and she's never met her aunt before. And while she's staying there, she realizes her mum is not coming back as quickly as she said she was, and has kind of disappeared. So there's the mystery of where her mum has gone. And also she starts to befriend the octopus, which is a huge, giant octopus, the biggest Pacific octopus you can imagine, that is very, very intelligent. And she kind of finds she's always helped her mum in her milliners to design the hats, but she's lived quite a rigid childhood. She starts to realize throughout the course of the book that her childhood isn't as idyllic as maybe she thought it had been. She basically was like a little mother. You've got her mother and you've got her, the exact model. And she starts to discover her individuality as she communicates with the octopus, and she starts to do a lot of artwork. And Gordy Wright, who illustrated the cover on this one, we managed to get him to do some illustrations inside, which are of Vinny. She's called Vinny. Vinny's artwork, as she goes through, her drawings of the octopus end up in the newspapers, and that's all part of the story as well.
Oh,
so
lovely.
It's got a really beautiful, it's got a lovely production. They've done a great job on that side of it, which really helps with this particular book, because it's quite, it's all to do with the artwork.
What age is it for, Lindsay?
Yeah, it's 9+.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, it sounds
it's
so
also
beautiful.
quite a high octane adventure. It's very, it's got a kind of a beautiful story in the background, but it's also got that element. There's a lot of adventure and peril, and there's also a kind of toxic mystery, which is based in the sweatshops of London, which all kind of ties in.
Because
it's a
when's
real
it
mystery.
set?
It's my first mystery. It's set in 1893.
Yeah.
So it's kind of tail end of the Victorian period, and it's very like it's all set on the Brighton seafront at that time. So you've got lots of settings that are related to that. You've got the beach, and you've got like the ice cream sellers, and you've got the pier, and you've got the bathing machines feature quite a lot.
Oh, nice. I bet research was fun.
It was so lovely, the research. And my editor just kept saying, more Brighton seafront historical stuff, as many details. And it was really nice. I got to visit, because the Brighton Aquarium is still working now, and has been continuously working since 1872. So it's their 150th anniversary this year of being continuously an aquarium. It's the oldest one in the world. So when you go in, well, it was so nice. I went in and they were super friendly, and they showed me behind the scenes, and it's like kind of a ship behind the scenes, like all the piping and all of like the animals from the back. And yeah, it was very cool. And I got to hold an octopus as well. I'll put my hand into the tank.
Yeah, I saw your picture of that. It was lovely.
Yeah.
Had you watched that documentary, that Octopus Teacher? Had you seen that?
My Octopus Teacher.
Yeah. Had you seen that before the book?
It definitely inspired. Yeah, I had, and it has inspired me, because I always wanted to write about an octopus after hearing about Inky the octopus, which was the octopus that escaped.
From the tank.
I think it was New Zealand. Yeah, it escaped and actually went out to sea, got through a grill in the night.
So clever.
And there's lots of stories like this, but it's so clever. I know. It just actually, this is real. And I was like, I want to write a story about this. But when I saw My Octopus Teacher, that, and how people reacted to that, that was when I think I was able to persuade my publisher that this is something that people will really love.
film. Yeah.
Because I think that the people are a bit like, oh, octopuses, we eat them, and they're a bit, but actually, it's beautiful in that film, isn't it? The relationship between them is just really moving.
Yeah,
I cried my eyes out in that
So
film.
did
Really
I.
Me too.
So did I. My kids are like, what's wrong with you? I was like,
be interesting to see what the
well.
emotional reaction to this book is, actually. It will
I
be
will definitely
interesting.
get a copy for my son because he's 9 and he was obsessed with My Octopus Teacher, the film. I remember tucking him in after he watched that film and he's just like, I love that octopus.
Yeah.
So do I.
Yeah, it's
so
like
cute.
that. I don't know. It's something about kids and animals. That is my thing at the moment. I'm really enjoying writing about kids and animals.
No,
I
that's
want to do more
fantastic
of them.
because they love it. They do love it. I remember when my kids are a bit older now, 13 and 14. But I mean, my son every night now, he's going through a phase where he'll watch a nature documentary. So he's working his way through all David
That's
Attenborough.
nice.
And he's a massive gamer, not into all that as well. But he'll watch that and he says it's the most relaxing thing to watch at night. And also
so
those
relaxing. Yeah.
Lonely Planet encyclopedias of not weeing in the avalanche, but you know what I mean, they do animal ones, wild animals and domestic. And my daughters, especially my daughter who just sort of wasn't keen on fiction, if there had been more fiction that had about animals, she would have been well up for it. That wasn't just not just a cute cat or dog, but exotic animals that are unusual that you can also, you're kind of learning but you don't know you're learning.
Yeah.
Friendship.
It's kind of I hope that this one does well. I mean, it's different to the first one. It's not the kind of like Darwin's Dragons in some ways, because it's really a mystery. And it's a lot about the friendship between the kids, because Darwin's Dragons was a bit unusual in that actually it didn't have a child friendship in it. It was about a boy and a man and a dragon and the animal. Whereas this one, I think, is more of a traditional, there's a friendship group who are solving a mystery. And then you've got the octopus kind of is always in the background throughout the whole thing and becomes part of the events as it unfolds. I'm quite proud of the mystery because it's my first mystery I've ever written.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was that difficult?
Yeah, I think it was difficult, actually, but it all fell into place quite well in the end. But there were times when I was like, how am I going to make this gel together? I think mystery writers must feel that, because you have a basic mystery, but then as you do more research, this is what always happens to me. I find other things that I could include, and then it becomes a lot more complex. And then you worry it's too complex.
Mystery just seems beyond me. That seems like so much plotting. You just need to know so much in advance. I'd make my brain hurt.
It is a lot of plotting, more plotting than is my natural kind of. I'm more with Darwin's Dragons and with Secret Deep. I think that was mysterious, but this is more traditional mystery. And the one I'm writing at the moment, the one that will come out next year, I can't tell you anything about it, but that's more like Darwin's Dragons again, more linear, not a mystery, an adventure. So it's
intrigued.
They just kind of turn out how they turn out, though, don't they? To a certain extent.
Yeah.
You don't know how they're going to go until.
No.
Did you say
it's 2nd of June that My Friend the Octopus is out. 2nd of June. Yeah. And there'll be some events down at the Brighton Aquarium around it as well that I'm waiting to hear on. There's lots of stuff going on with it, I think. It might be a road show or something. I'm waiting to hear various.
We are
I think there's going to be a
time.
photo
I've
shoot.
Just seen the time. We're on an hour.
I know, my son's come back in to reclaim his room.
So this was quite predictable in the episode where we talk about Stephen King.
You're not live.
I am live. No,
we haven't even touched it, really. Have we? And we haven't even really touched it. You could just talk for so much longer, couldn't you?
Yeah, we need to do a Stephen King special. We were talking about doing a Stephen King special. We'll do a Stephen King special and invite you back, Lindsay.
Yeah, please do. Because I think it's not just me, is it? There's so many of us.
Oh, and I just think he means the world to so many people.
How many can we fit on this at one point? How many can we fit on this thing at
10, I think.
Oh my God, let's do a Stephen King bonanza.
Yeah,
we'll put on Twitter. We'll just say if anybody wants to
YA,
talk about Stephen King.
At our age, there wasn't really YA, and that was our YA.
That's true.
I feel like it was my YA. That was definitely my teenage reading.
Do you know what I mean? I would skip from reading Anne of Green Gables to reading Carrie, and not even really
Little Women one day.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, my Stephen King phase was quite, Carrie the First, 11 to about 14, just obsessed.
Yeah,
Like,
that was same with
obsessed.
me, really. Yeah.
And then got really like nihilistic and moved on to being obsessed with like serial killers, which I had actually genuinely forgotten about until Lindsay was going on about how dark
Honestly,
kids were.
I
And
think
was
we've all got to go
I
through
wasn't
it.
dark, and then I was like,
We
oh my
have
god, I
all
remember being
got to go
obsessed
through
with
this.
Jack the Ripper and Dr. Crippen. Like age 14, like obsessed. Like, this is the best way to kill. I mean, yeah, demented. So yeah.
I just
Sorry,
think it's
don't know
like
where that
it's
On
like
that
you're
note.
exploring the outer reaches of your mind, isn't it? It's like your imagination. How deep and dark can I go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Oh,
glad
well,
we
we
got a
should
good
wrap it
connection
up
in the
there,
end.
shouldn't we? But
Yeah.
We are.
we will
We
do
are.
more on Stephen King another time, because I think there is so much to talk about.
There is.
And it
Right.
has been so lovely, guys, to
Oh,
chat
thank
about
you,
my
Lindsay. It's been
passions. I'm so
brilliant.
glad to talk about this World of Strange Powers. I hope some people are going to look that up and to see
Oh,
that book
definitely.
now.
I want to see stuff.
Yeah.
I want to see books by you inspired by cases from there. That would be amazing.
I definitely want to
got-
listen to the audiobook read by you as well.
I have written a ghost story. One day I will write a really scary ghost story. I feel like it's something I've got to build up to. Maybe in about
Yeah.
10 years. It's not something I could take lightly.
Haunted animals. Haunted animals.
Oh,
I love that you're just
no.
having your tea now.
I'm not having my tea. My son insisted on making some tofu extravaganza, and I can't.
How
I said no.
lovely.
Oh, he's feeding it to me. Sorry.
Well, let's say goodnight.
I told you, he's feeding it to me.
Well, that is very nice.
It is very nice. She's very.
I haven't even been
boy.
bothered by the dog. Where's the dog? It's probably run away and I've not noticed.
Who have we got on next week, Anna? Who's our lovely guest next week?
Oh, it's Sarah Denzel. So brilliant thriller, crime and thriller writer Sarah Denzel, and with 3 more brilliant choices. And our first repeat choice. So one of Sarah's choices is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is the first time we've had someone's picked something for a second time. So it's going to be really interesting to talk through her 3 choices.
And will you come back on for our Stephen King extravaganza, Lindsay?
Of course, I will literally. Please do. I will be very upset if you don't include me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I am dying to come back.
Thank you, my lovely.
Thank
Good
you,
night,
and
everyone. And
thanks
good night,
for having
Sam,
me.
with your toast.
Love you.
Everyone,
Love
don't have
you.
nightmares. Don't